Simon, congratulations on Invincible Season 1. Can you give us a sneak peek into what fans might expect for Season 2?
Sure. I mean, I can talk about it. Yeah. I hope everything they loved in season one, I hope they're gonna get again in season two. But turned up a bit. We're gonna crank that knob a little harder. We're gonna give you sadder moments. We're gonna give you happier moments. We're gonna give you more action. We're gonna give you bloodier action. But the stuff that that you loved about season one, I hope is all coming back in season two. We're going to give you the same characters. We're just going to go deeper into everything. We're going to let you feel more. And we're picking up a month after the end of season one. So all of the trauma, everything that happened at the end of season one, we're picking up right that. So we're not wiping the slate clean. We're picking up right where we left off.
I was able to watch this episode 1 for season 2, and it was pretty mind blowing, man. It had me kind of juxtaposed on what was going on. The voice cast of Invincible season 2 and possibly the future is super impressive. Which of the new additions to the voice cast are you most excited about, and which voices should fans look out for?
I mean, I love all of our cast. Our entire cast is incredible, both the cast from season 1 and the new people coming in season 2. So asking me to pick out a favorite is kind of cruel, man. But I will say, one who we've already announced that I can talk about is I can't wait for our audience to see what Sterling K. Brown brings to the show. I think, he's playing a new character named Angstrom Levy, and I think he just kills it. He came in, he was so much fun to work with. He was incredible. But we also have other characters great, like Ben Schwartz coming in, wow, playing the Shapesmith. He's incredible too. Jay Farrow is bulletproof. I could go on. If you had another 2 hours, we could just go on and just talk about the cast and how great they are and how everyone's so amazing.
And how were you able to accumulate such great of a voice cast? Did they come to you, or did you go to them? How did that happen?
Well, how we do it is, I hope, is that we write compelling material that actors want to act. And then what happens is Robert and I sit down, and when we have a new character, we sort of talk about the character, and maybe he has a couple ideas for actors, or I have a couple ideas for actors, or maybe we don't have an idea. We just know kind of what we want. And we have a great casting director whose name is Linda LaMontagne, and she comes up with names for us. She's like, oh, if you're looking for someone like that, like someone with really deep voice or gravitas or something like that, here's a bunch of people maybe you haven't thought of. And she gives us a list of names, and we go and we watch clips of them, or we watch them in other shows, or we listen to their voice or scenes, and we kind of whittle down a list until we have a couple names that we're really happy about, and then we go out and we make offers. And the nice thing about the show is we've been very, very lucky. We almost always get the first person we're going for, which is I'm very thankful for. Our cast is the best. I can't say enough great things about them.
And that's great. I look forward to all the voices and the new characters coming in the next season. The Invincible comic series offers a wealth of source material. How closely will season 2 follow the comics, and will there be any major departures from the original storyline?
I mean, the comics are our roadmap. They stretch out ahead of us, for many, many more seasons if we're lucky enough to get to do those. So we try to follow the comics. We try to do what's already there. I mean, that is what people love about the books. What they love about the characters. So we're trying to stick to that. What we try to do is, there are places though where we try to maybe go a little deeper into some of the characters, or open up the space between the panels a little bit. So we give you a little more Debbie in season 2 than is in the comic books. We give you a little more Amber. We give you some other events in the comics that might only be a page in the comics. We might pull out and make, half an episode out of that. So that's kind of what we do. But if you've read the comics, I think you're going to be very pleased that we take them pretty seriously, and we take adapting them pretty seriously.
Mm-hmm. As a showrunner, what challenges did you face in adapting the comic book series like Invincible, and how those challenges evolved in season 2?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is just staying true to the material. It's I want people who love the comic books to love the show, and to feel like we love it as much as they do. But I also want people who haven't read the comics to love the show. So there's that kind of balance of making something for the fans of the material, and then making something that new people people have never read the comic books, and everyone should read the comic books, of course, but like something that new people won't feel that it's too weird or too geeky or too nerdy for them to enjoy as well. I think audiences now watch a lot of genre material, so people are very used to the superhero world, but I want to make sure that it's also that, like, you've never heard of Invincible, just watch episode 1 and see if it pulls you in, and then hopefully you'll be in the series for the rest of the run. And
how close did you work with Robert on this series, and how was he the bumper to keep you to steer you in the right way and keeping it true to the comics?
I mean, Robert and I work all continuously, both across the entire show. So he's as involved as I am. Totally. I mean, it's been great because obviously a lot of, he wrote the original book, so he knows a lot of the reasons. Obviously, he knows all the reasons why he did things a certain way 10 years ago, and what the response from fans were about something, when it already happened. So he's been great because he's also given us some freedom to maybe tweak things or change things a little bit, but he's totally involved in the series, every aspect of it, all the way going forwards.
Awesome. The show's social and political themes are thought-provoking. Can you discuss any relevant themes or commentary that will be explored in season 2?
Sure. I mean, if we're talking about themes, one of the big themes is what are the responsibilities of power? Mm-hmm. And it's Mark, who's obviously torn between his life is just trying to get over what this traumatic event that happened to him and his family, and his mom at the end of season 1, but also he can save lives, and he can save a lot of lives. So shouldn't he be doing that all the time? What are those responsibilities? When you have the abilities he has, what are your ethical responsibilities to the world versus your responsibilities to yourself and just having a life? So that's something he struggles with, and we talk a lot about in the season, and we deal with.
And talking about Mark, we saw a lot of growth in him in season 1, and I hope we see some more growth of him in season 2. How will his character develop, and how will the relationships around him evolve in the upcoming season?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in season 1, I think, the lesson Mark learned in season 1 was that, as a kid growing up, he thought being a superhero was, you beat up bad guys and you stopped the bank robbery, and the cops came and picked up those robbers and they took him to jail and everything was great, and then he went and had a burger and it was awesome. And then he discovers that being a superhero actually is really complicated and difficult, and there's all this kind of ramifications of these events that sort of echo further and further onwards. People are hurt, people die. You're not fast enough to stop, a catastrophe from happening. And then you have to think about that for the rest of your life. So Mark kind of realizes that, 1, being a superhero is much harder than he thought. And then 2, that he can't walk away from it, because now with these powers, he ethically has to do something when he can. So he's going to continue to grow into that and realize that being a superhero comes with some very, very severe consequences to his own mental health, and then he's going to mature and maybe hopefully find some kind of stability going forwards. But I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Season 1 had some intense, violent moments, and I think that's what made, Invincible different from other animated shows. And I also talked to Robert at New York Comic Con, and I talked about the mature use of words. And he says, if it's put in there and it works perfectly, I'm good with it. But, I don't want it to be too much of that. How will that tone and the action sequences and the mature words evolve in the second season?
Sure. I mean, the same way in season 1. I mean, we try not to be gratuitous with either thing. Our violence is there because our characters have superpowers and they're super strong. And if someone who is super strong punches someone who's not, they kind of explode, right? That's just what happens. So these fights are fast and really strong and heavy, and the violence that you see comes out of that. So it comes out of a story and a character-based place. The same thing with the language. I mean, think about what you would say if you saw some of the stuff in real life. You probably would swear. You would say the F word, you would say the S word, you would say other things. I want our dialogue to feel real, and I want people to I want our characters to react to these situations and what they're seeing and what they're going through in a realistic way. And that means talking like an adult talks today. It means talking like a person talks today. And Some people swear more than other people, but like most people, when they would see kind of the stuff that our characters see, would swear. So that's how we're trying to write realistic dialogue that feels natural and real for the scenarios that our characters are in.
And after watching some of season 2, I gotta give it to you guys that you guys did put the mature language where it was needed, and it was
okay,
not too because I was really paying attention to it. I was like, oh, it actually works in this scene, and it was perfect for that. So I commend you on that.
Yeah, well, like I mean, South Park, you know, they use it for comedic purposes. We're trying to use you know, adult language, explicit language for realistic purposes.
And lastly, without giving too many spoilers, can you describe the emotional journey that fans can expect in season 2, and any specific episodes or characters? We already talked about one that you're particularly excited for the viewers to see and get stoked about.
Sure, I think Mark's journey. So Mark's journey in season 1 was about him wanting to become his dad, wanting to become his father, and discovering then that his father is not who he should become. Season 2, the biggest theme is about Mark being terrified that he might become his father without even knowing it. He might turn into his dad. You know, not physically, but he might make the same mistakes. He might be a bad person with these powers. They might change them, they might correct them. So that's his greatest fear. As for things to look forward to, episode 3, I really think is kind of a special episode in the first 4. It's a different episode. And I think it introduces some new characters, and we have a little bit of fun with it, and we break the mold a little bit. So I'm excited to see what people think about that episode.
And one last question. I know that was the last question, but one last question. I know Robert at New York Comic Con brought up season 3 and that it's in the process of being made. Can you give us a little bit of, a little bit of whatever you can give us about season 3 and what we can expect?
Sure. Well, I can tell you a couple of things. One, you will not be waiting as long for season 3 as you waited for season 2. I can promise you that. That will never happen again, barring another world catastrophe, like, you know, COVID 2.0 comes in, like maybe then. But if that doesn't happen, we will definitely deliver you season 3 much sooner than you waited for season 2. We're already well into production on that. All the scripts are written. It's in production now. It's coming along great. I can't wait for you guys to see that too. In terms of story, I don't want to reveal too much. All I can say is that, like, you know, if you really can't wait, you can read the great comic books and you can see where the story is kind of going, or you can wait for the show. I don't know. It's up to you.
Well, thank you, Simon, for your time. And I know the Hoodrat podcast viewers really enjoy the interview, and I have too. And thank you again.